Welcome to Heartbreaker, your love radio.
Can true love withstand the test of time and the unexpected twists of fate? It was a hot summer afternoon at the São Roque Sports Club, where the constant sound of rackets and tennis balls filled the air with contagious energy. João, already a skilled player at 16, delivered shots with a confidence that captured the attention of everyone around. His dark hair was lightly damp with sweat, and his focused gaze rarely left the court. On the other side, Lara arrived, carrying her new racket and a heavy bag of equipment. At 14, she glanced timidly at the courts, feeling the weight of novelty and expectation. Her heart beat a little faster as she watched the players in action, and a slight anxiety fluttered in her stomach. The coach, a middle-aged man named Carlos, noticed Lara's arrival and waved for João to approach. João, come here for a moment, please, he called out, with a friendly gesture. João threw the towel over his shoulder and walked over to them, offering a calm smile. Yes, coach. Carlos placed his hand on Lara's shoulder, encouraging her. This is Lara. She's new to the club and I'm thinking you could help her get familiar with the basic techniques. What do you think? João looked at Lara, who seemed a bit more relaxed now, and replied with a nod. Sure, no problem. Let's start with some light warm-ups, okay? Lara nodded, grateful for the kindness in João's voice. Thank you, I really need help getting started. The two headed to a more secluded court. First, let's do a simple warm-up. Just follow me and do what I do, okay? João demonstrated a light jog around the court. Lara followed suit, and after a few minutes, they were both lightly laughing at their initial nervousness. So, do you like tennis? João asked as he picked up some balls to start racket exercises. I think so, Lara replied with a hesitant laugh. My parents thought it would be a good way to make new friends and stay active during the holidays. A good thinking on their part. You'll see, tennis can be a lot of fun, especially when you start getting the hang of it. João gently tossed a ball in her direction, encouraging her to hit it back. The training continued with João gently correcting Lara's posture and showing her how to hold the racket correctly. Like this, keep your wrist firm but relaxed. Try to feel the game, not just think about it. Lara listened attentively, trying to mimic João's movements. Each of her hits was met with an encouraging smile from him, and each mistake was seen as an opportunity to learn more. You're doing great, João praised after a good serve from Lara, who finally began to feel less tension in her shoulders. Thank you, João. I'm glad you're helping me, Lara said, a sincere smile lighting up her face. João returned the smile. Me too. It's nice to have someone new to train with. As the sun began to set, the training session came to an end. They gathered the balls scattered around the court, and a sense of camaraderie was already forming between them. That first day at the sports club had been more than just an introduction to tennis for Lara. It had been the gateway to a friendship that promised to be as resilient and energizing as the game that brought them together. As the years went by, João and Lara grew, not only in height but also in emotional complexity. Adolescence brought with it an early maturity, tinged by first loves and disappointments. They continued to meet at the sports club, each encounter weaving a little more into the depths of their friendship. On a hot spring afternoon, as they rested in the shade after an intense game, Lara gathered the courage to broach something she had been rehearsing for months. João, have you ever thought about us? I mean, about being more than friends. Lara asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. João, grabbing a water bottle, paused before taking a sip. He looked at her, noticing the expectant gleam in her eyes. Lara, you know I admire you a lot, right? But I feel like we're still too young to think about this, especially with this age difference between us. I don't want to ruin what we have. Lara sighed, averting her gaze to not let João see the disappointment in her eyes. I understand, I just thought that maybe there could be something more. Hey, our friendship is amazing, isn't it? That's what matters most to me right now. Joao tried to smile to soften his words, but the comfort he tried to convey didn't fully reach Lara's heart. In the following years, as Lara tried to push away her romantic feelings, Joao found himself in brief relationships with other people, never anything serious, but enough to keep Lara at an emotional distance. They met often, sharing laughs and stories, but Lara always kept a reserved space in her heart, hoping that Joao might change his mind. One night, at a mutual friend's ordinary birthday party, Lara watched Joao chatting animatedly with a schoolmate. Feeling a tightness in her heart, she approached him after the schoolmate left. "You seem happy," Lara commented, trying to keep her voice neutral. Joao turned to her with a smile. I was just talking about the science project. Nothing special. And you, how have you been? You seem a bit distant today." Lara shrugged. I'm just a little tired, I guess. But I'm glad to see you happy." Joao, sensing a certain tone in her voice, placed his hand on her shoulder. "Lara, if there's something bothering you, you know you can tell me, right?" Lara looked at him, sensing the genuine concern in his eyes. I know, Joao. Thank you. I just need some time, maybe." Of course, take all the time you need. I'll be here, Joao affirmed, and they briefly hugged, a hug that meant so much to Lara and yet, at the same time, not enough. As the years of adolescence unfolded, the lines between friendship and something more remained blurred, with Joao and Lara always one step out of sync. Life went on, and with it, the two friends remained close, even though their hearts sometimes danced to different rhythms. As Lara and Joao entered university, their lives took different paths, marked by new challenges and ambitions. Joao went to a renowned university, while Lara chose a quieter campus. Although separated by academic choice and physical distance, the threads of a long friendship remained intact, pulling them together for sporadic, meaningful reunions. It was in a chance encounter, at a cafe they both frequented when they returned home during the holidays, that they met. The establishment buzzed with the chatter of other conversations, but for them, the world seemed to fade away, leaving only the space they shared. "Lara, what a surprise to see you here," Joao said with a broad smile upon seeing her in line. She turned around, an equally bright smile lighting up her face. João, I didn't expect to see you. How are things? How's college? It's going. Between studies and group projects, I barely have time to breathe, he replied, grabbing his coffee and gesturing for them to sit at a table in the corner. They settled in, the soft sound of background music enveloping their conversation. And you, how are things on campus? Lara took a sip of her coffee before responding. It's everything I hoped for and more. I'm learning a lot, experimenting with different media. It's really liberating. The conversation flowed naturally, each sharing anecdotes of quirky professors and academic challenges. In moments like these, the connection they had seemed to reignite, despite the months of silence. And how's the heart? Joao asked, a mischievous smile on his lips, trying to lighten the mood. Lara laughed, a clear and cheerful sound. The heart is busy with projects, nothing more. And yours? The same. Studying has been my most serious relationship so far, he joked, and they both laughed, comfortable in each other's company. These encounters, though unplanned, had become the most anticipated moments of the holidays. Always finding each other unexpectedly, each meeting reinforced the foundation of a friendship that seemed to withstand the test of time and distance. In another one of these sporadic encounters, during a mutual friend's birthday party, Joao and Lara had the chance to truly talk away from the academic environment. Lara, you've changed quite a bit, Joao commented as they watched the other guests dance. For the better, I hope, she replied, smiling. And you too. You seem more mature, somehow. Being away from home does that to you, I suppose. It makes you grow in ways you don't expect, he said, looking at her with a pensive expression. Yes, it's true. Sometimes, I feel like we're living completely different lives now, Lara added, her voice soft, filled with a gentle melancholy. But it's still good to know that we can find each other like this, isn't it? João asked, his eyes meeting hers. Yes, it's very good, she agreed, and for a moment, amid the noise of the party and the chaos of university life, everything seemed perfectly aligned between them. The university years, though filled with new experiences and people, never managed to undo the bonds that João and Lara shared. Even as their lives seemed to run on parallel tracks, the sporadic encounters were reminders of a lasting friendship, capable of transcending time and distance. Not long after, fate, or perhaps the convenience of adult life, brought them back together again. When João and Lara found out they would be working for the same company, the initial surprise gave way to a pleasant constancy in their lives. Their encounters, once sporadic and marked by silent longing, became part of their daily routine. Quick chats over coffee and shared lunches turned the professional environment into a space of reunion and camaraderie. One day, after a spontaneous invitation from João, they met for lunch at a small cafe near their workplaces. So, small world, huh? Who would have thought we'd end up working so close to each other? João said as he looked over the menu.
Yes, it's one of those happy coincidences, I suppose. It makes it easier to reminisce about the old times, Lara replied, her soft smile hiding the complexity of the feelings that proximity stirred. One Friday afternoon, after months of hesitation and with a heavy heart full of hope, João decided it was time to express his feelings. They were alone in the company cafeteria, a now familiar space that had witnessed many of their conversations. Lara, there's something I need to tell you, João began, his tone more serious than usual. Something I've been thinking about for a long time. Lara set her coffee aside, noticing the shift in her friend. What's going on, João? I've always seen you as an incredible friend, but lately, it's been more than that for me, he confessed, looking directly into her eyes, searching for some sign of reciprocity. Lara looked visibly surprised, her expression a mix of confusion and caution. João, I value what we have a lot. I know we feel something more for each other, but I'm really afraid of complicating things here at work. I don't want our friendship to suffer because of it. João nodded, trying to mask his disappointment. I understand, truly I do. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I just thought I should be honest about my feelings. I appreciate your honesty, João, and it means a lot to me. But I'd rather keep things as they are, Lara replied, the sincerity in her voice clear and firm. I hope this doesn't change our friendship. Of course not, João quickly said, forcing a smile. Nothing will change. We're friends above all else. In the following months, both made a conscious effort to maintain the dynamics of their relationship unchanged. Although João felt an occasional pang of sadness, he valued Lara's presence in his life too much to allow his unrequited feelings to cause a rift. On a particularly difficult day, after a stressful meeting, Lara found João in the same cafeteria where he had confessed his feelings. Are you okay? She asked, noticing his tired expression. Yeah, just a long day. You know how it is, João replied, trying to deflect the weight of his own thoughts. Lara sat beside him, offering silent support. I know, but remember, I'm here if you need to talk. As friends, right? Of course, as friends, João agreed, a sad smile on his lips, grateful for her presence, even if not in the way he had initially hoped for. This new stage in their lives, working side by side, proved to be a test of their friendship. They continued to support each other, sharing successes and frustrations, keeping the silent promise not to let romantic misunderstandings harm the special bond they had built over the years. As life went on, João and Lara's paths seemed to run in parallel lines, so close and yet never fully crossing at a common point. Lara found love in someone else, leading her to the commitment of an engagement. João, on the other hand, explored relationships that, although meaningful, never seemed to settle as permanent. On a sunny afternoon, as they walked through the park they had frequented since they were young, Laura broke the comfortable silence between them, reflecting on the changes in her life. "Do you believe I'm engaged, João?" "It feels surreal," she said, a glimmer of happiness evident in her eyes. João offered her a genuine smile, though his heart squeezed a little. "I'm so happy for you, Laura. He's a lucky guy. And you? How's love treating you?" Laura asked, turning to him with genuine interest. Well, nothing serious yet. Still waiting for the right person, I suppose," João replied, trying to keep lightness in his voice. "You'll find someone amazing, João. Someone who truly deserves you," she said, lightly touching his arm in a gesture of support. They continued walking, conversation flowing naturally into reminiscences of past moments, laughing at old stories, and sharing new experiences. It was on these walks that they both found refuge from the daily routine, a space where they could simply be João and Laura, not the engaged or the single, but longtime friends. On another occasion, while having coffee after a day of work, Laura looked at João with a pensive expression. Have you ever stopped to think about how much our lives have changed since we met?" she asked, stirring her coffee. Yeah, sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday we were on that tennis court, trying to hit the ball," João replied, the corner of his mouth curving into a nostalgic smile. And yet, here we are still good friends." "That's rare, João," Laura added, her eyes meeting his with warm gratitude. "I cherish every moment, Laura. Even though our lives seem to be heading in different directions, it's comforting to know we can have these conversations," João said, his tone heavy with sincerity. Me too, João. No matter what happens, you'll always be an important part of my life," Laura replied, her soft voice conveying the depth of their friendship. Laura had always believed in the honesty and strength of her relationship with Marcos. Their engagement, marked by shared promises and dreams, seemed to be the foundation for a future filled with happiness and companionship. However, cracks in the foundation of that future began to show on an unexpectedly dark afternoon. It was a typical Thursday when Laura decided to surprise Marcos by bringing lunch to the office where he worked. Upon arrival, she noticed that the atmosphere was unusually silent. The secretaries and colleagues seemed tense, exchanging glances that ceased as soon as they noticed her presence. Feeling a sudden chill in her stomach, Laura made her way to Marcos's office, ignoring the murmur of voices that tried to stop her with hurried phrases and concerned looks. She opened the door without knocking, a common practice in her surprise visits. What she saw left her paralyzed. Marcos, her fiancé, was very close to a co-worker, both so engrossed in an intimate conversation that they didn't immediately notice Lara's entrance. The co-worker quickly pulled away, an expression of guilt mixed with surprise marking her face. Laura. What are you doing here?" Marcos stammered, clearly flustered. "I came to bring you lunch," Laura replied automatically, her voice weak as she held the bag with a firmness that contradicted her internal confusion. "Oh, thank you, but it wasn't necessary," Marcos said, trying to regain composure and addressing Laura with a forced smile. Laura looked at both of them, her mind trying to connect the dots that, until then, she had refused to acknowledge. Marcos, who is she?" "She's Carla, my co-worker. We were just discussing a project," Marcos explained quickly, casting a glance that Laura interpreted as a warning to the co-worker, who hurriedly left. Laura felt Marcos's words echo hollow in the space between them. Something in the way he couldn't meet her eyes made her realize that there was more to that conversation than just work matters. "Marcos, be honest with me," Laura said, the firmness in her voice surprising even herself. "This is more than just work, isn't it?" Marcos's hesitation was the confirmation Laura feared. With a defeated sigh, he finally admitted the truth. "Oh, Laura, I am sorry. It wasn't supposed to be like this." Marcos's ensuing words were lost on Laura, who couldn't bear to hear about the whys and hows anymore. With a broken heart and a mind in turmoil, she left the office without saying a word, the lunch bag forgotten in a corner. That image of betrayal burned into her memory, shattering the trust and promises that once formed the foundation of their relationship. As Laura walked through the streets, her thoughts were a whirlwind of pain and disbelief. The revelation not only ended her engagement but also forced her to reconsider what she truly wanted for her future. After ending the relationship and leaving her job, where she had once worked alongside João, Laura felt it was time to open herself up to new possibilities. João, who had always been by her side, now appeared in her mind not only as a friend but as someone who could be more. Determined, Laura arranged to meet João at a cafe they used to frequent together. Sitting at the table, with 2 steaming cups in front of them, Laura took a deep breath before speaking. João, I need to tell you something important, she began, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of nervousness and determination. I ended things with Marcos. I found out he was cheating on me. João frowned, his expression immediately filled with concern. Laura, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you okay? She sighed, a weight seeming to lift as she shared the news. I'm dealing with it. It wasn't easy, but I think it was the right thing to do. There was a pause, a comfortable silence that only good friends can share before Laura continued. And there's one more thing. After everything that's happened, and a lot of thinking, I realized that my feelings for you never really went away, João. João looked at Laura, surprised, but there was a glimmer of hope beginning to shine in his eyes. Laura, you don't know how long I've waited to hear this. But I don't want to be just a choice because you're hurting. No, Laura interrupted, her voice firm. It's not because I'm hurt. It's because, being honest with myself, you've always been a very important part of my life. I was blind to see where my heart truly belonged. João held her hand across the table, the physical contact reinforcing the emotional connection. I've always been here, Laura, and I always will be. I just want to make sure this is what you want. And I've never been more sure, Laura affirmed, a genuine smile lighting up her face as the last traces of doubt dissipated. They spent the rest of the afternoon discussing the future, cautiously optimistic about the possibilities. They decided to take things slow, rebuilding the foundation of their relationship with a new perspective. Sitting face to face, their hands still intertwined on the table, they talked about the next steps, both aware that the transition from friends to something more would require care and time. I want to do this the right way, Laura. No rush, respecting our time, João said, his eyes reflecting a sincere commitment. Laura smiled, grateful. Having your patience and support makes everything easier. I truly believe we can make this work. They agreed to start with small gestures. Dinner dates, late afternoon walks, and trips to the cinema became part of the new routine, each moment together an opportunity to strengthen the connection that already existed and discover new facets of each other. On a clear night, as they walked through the park under a blanket of stars, Laura stopped and looked at João. You know, I've always wondered what it would be like if we were together, she began, searching for the words. And it's been even more amazing than I could have imagined. João laughed, a light sound that echoed through the tranquil space. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I'm loving every moment too. As the seasons changed, the relationship between Laura and João deepened. It wasn't just romance that was blossoming, a true partnership was forming, grounded in years of trust and understanding. During a dinner at a favorite restaurant, Laura broached an important topic. João, have you thought more about the future? About what you really want in the long term? Setting down his wine glass on the table, João looked at her with seriousness. I think about it often. And I know I want you in that future. No matter how things change, I want to be by your side. Laura's heart warmed at his words. I want that too, João. More than anything. As the conversation stretched into the night, they discussed dreams and possibilities, each expressing desires and hopes for the future. It was clear that, despite the uncertainties that might come, they were ready to face them together. João and Laura understood that every relationship faces challenges, but they were determined to build something enduring. With each laugh, each deep conversation, they strengthened the bond between them, solidifying a relationship that had begun with a simple friendship and now promised to grow into something even more significant. Months turned into years, and the relationship between João and Laura flourished with the delicacy and strength of an ancient vine, deeply rooting itself in their hearts and lives. Every day, with every shared moment, they discovered new reasons to believe that their decision to stay together had been the right choice. On a hot spring afternoon, João took Laura back to the park where they had spent so many afternoons talking and dreaming together. The park was especially beautiful, with flowers blooming in vibrant colors and the sound of birds singing melodies of a new beginning. Feeling a special energy in the air, Laura followed João to their favorite bench under an old oak tree. He seemed more nervous than usual, his hands slightly trembling as he held hers. Laura, from the first moment I saw you, I knew there was something special about you. Over the years, that feeling has only grown. You've become my best friend, my confidant, my great love, João began, his voice filled with emotion. Laura smiled, her own emotions on the surface as she listened to the words she had always longed to hear. I can't imagine my life without you, and I don't want to try anymore. Laura, will you marry me? João asked, kneeling down and opening a small box to reveal a dazzling ring. Tears of happiness shimmered in Laura's eyes. Yes, João. Yes, I will. That moment under the oak tree sealed a new chapter in their lives. The following months were a whirlwind of planning and anticipation. They chose a small lakeside venue for the wedding, a place that reflected the tranquility and natural beauty they both loved. On the wedding day, the sky was clear and the sun shone over the lake, creating golden reflections on the water. Laura walked down the aisle to where João awaited her, his face lit up by a smile that spoke more than words could express. As they exchanged vows, promising to love and support each other through all times, the commitment they made was not just a legal bond, but an eternal promise of friendship, love, and partnership. The celebration that followed was a joyful union of friends and family, all witnessing the love that João and Laura shared. As they danced under the starry sky, surrounded by those they loved, they both knew that, regardless of the challenges the future might bring, they would face it all together, with their hearts united and their spirits filled with hope. And so, beneath the vast expanse of the night sky, João and Laura began their life together, not just as husband and wife, but as best friends whose love had stood the test of time and grown stronger with every challenge overcome.